Hi, I'm Joe. I studied film production at Solent University and I graduated in 2021. I applied for university when I was 17 years old. I was at college and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I applied for Solent and I got an unconditional offer to study law here. But as sort of time went on, as it sort of crept closer, I started to think maybe do I really want to study law, or do I really want to do what I love, which is filmmaking. The clearing process for me was, it was great, really. I sort of came here on the day. We'd made that decision, or I say I'd made that decision, sort of consulted with my family, and with their support, I thought I'd try and get on film. But then it was, how do I actually do that? So we looked up, we saw the clearing dates, we came to Solent, and that was when I met Stuart, one of the fantastic lecturers here, and he fully sort of convinced me, got me here with his enthusiasm for film. It was through chatting to him that I sort of realised this is what I want to do. I felt my uni experience was exactly the same as a non-clearing student. Everybody on the course wanted to be there, studying film, was just as passionate as me. It didn't matter whether they'd gone through the traditional route or that I'd come in later. The facilities at Solent were fantastic. You have access to state-of-the-art equipment, cameras and microphones, but also amazing studio spaces. Once I graduated, my next step was really, how do I get into independent filmmaking? I luckily managed to get a job with an independent film company in London, and I worked there for a few years. I met some great people, worked on some great projects, but I really found my passion when I started to produce my own work. I wrote a couple of scripts over the years. Some of them I didn't do anything with, but one in particular I wrote with my friend, and we then turned that into a short film. That short film has played at several festivals across the UK. It was an amazing experience and a real opportunity for me to be able to showcase the skills and put the knowledge that I learned from Solent to good use. My short film is called Lest We Forget, and it is something that I'm incredibly proud of. Set entirely and filmed entirely in a New Forest pub where a young couple, Jack and Katie, they turn up at the pub after a long night of travelling, only to discover that things aren't quite what they seem to be there. It was such a great experience to be able to, shoot on location at the location I wanted. In terms of the story, obviously it is a ghost story, it's a horror story, which is something I'm very passionate about, but it also deals with other elements, other really important issues, PTSD and various other mental health issues, which when you couple sort of art and sort of any form of social issue, I think you can really create something special there. I think if I had to pick one thing about Solent that was my favourite part of the journey, I do think it would be the lectures and the lecturers themselves and all the staff, really. I had some amazing conversations with lecturers who really supported me, really helped me and guided me through the entire process, and I really don't think I would have been able to do it without them. If you are somebody who is worried about the clearing process for whatever reason, whether it's a similar thing to me where you would like to change course, or perhaps something else has happened which has made you decide to do another course, I think the biggest thing and the best thing you can do is just come in and talk to someone, discuss things, find out how easy it is. I think it's something that will really put your mind at ease.